Today, we're going to talk about the Bachelor in Professional Communication program here at Royal Roads University. And before I keep going with today's session, it is so important that we do an acknowledgement of traditional lands. Royal Roads University acknowledges that the campus is located on the traditional lands of the Esquimalt and Songhees, so Cosatsum and Lekwungen ancestors and families. It is with gratitude that we now learn and work here, where the past, present, and future of Indigenous and non-Indigenous students, faculty, and staff come together. Welcome. Hi, Tyler. I see your hands up there.
Yeah, I thought it'd probably be appropriate to acknowledge that I'm and SAIT is attending from the traditional territories of the people of the Treaty 7 region in southern Alberta, which includes the Blackfoot Confederacy, the Tsuut'ina First Nation, and the Stoney Nakoda First Nation, as well as the Northwest Métis Region 3.
Thank you. Thank you so much for adding that. That's so important. So today's session is, we're going to be talking about the Bachelor of Arts in Professional Communication, and we're on Zoom. So what that means is we have the chat box, which we'll be keeping an eye on. You can use the raise hand function if you have any questions, and you can also use the reactions feature, which is that fun little button that you give us a thumbs up or whatever you'd like to give us. So at any point, if you have questions, like this is just a conversation kind of presentation. So don't hesitate to ask them and we'll do our best to answer them. So today's session, I am so pleased that I have Dr. Geo Takach here with me. He is an associate professor and head of the BA in Professional Communication program at Royal Roads. We also have Mark Dickinson, who is the Global Partnerships Coordinator. And my name is Amara Angus, and I'm an education specialist at Royal Roads. So I'll keep going with today's session. An agenda, just so everybody knows what to expect, nothing out of the ordinary, but a hello and nice to meet you, which is where we are right now in the agenda, just in case anybody's wondering. There's a brief overview of the Royal Roads experience. We're going to go through program information and what that looks like for you and the transfer options into Royal Roads. We're going to go through the application process. And as I mentioned, this is a casual kind of presentation. Questions throughout, they're always welcome. Shall we keep going? This is when you give me a thumbs up emoji or just an actual thumbs up. We should keep going. Everybody's good with this agenda? Yeah? Okay, awesome. Thanks for the feedback. I like to see that. So where we're located, I know that we're not that far, we're a province over, but we're in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada. So we're on Vancouver Island. Has anybody been here before? Give me one of the heart reactions if you've been to Victoria, BC before. Raise your hand. Okay, awesome. Well, if you haven't been here yet, I highly recommend coming for a visit or even just coming to school here. It's a beautiful place. We're a really mild climate. Like if it snows here, we're all shocked and don't know how to handle it. Usually it's around 6 degrees in the winter. In the summer, it's around a nice 25 degrees. We have so many hiking trails, biking trails. You can go for a walk almost any day of the year. It's just a beautiful place to live. The industries in Victoria, the top 3 are advanced technology, tourism and hospitality, and education. Okay, and here's a few images. I wanted to give you just a bit of a sense of place of Royal Roads. So anybody here seen X-Men or Deadpool, those movies? Well, Hatley Castle at Royal Roads was actually in those movies, which is really cool. So that's Hatley Castle in the top left. And Hatley Castle overlooks this beautiful lagoon, which is that image on the top right there. That's the Esquimalt Lagoon, which is also a migratory bird sanctuary, which is really cool. And if you kind of look in the distance of Esquimalt Lagoon, you'll see the Olympic Peninsula Mountains, which are in the States. So we're pretty close to our US neighbors. And Charlie's Trail is just a beautiful lunchtime walk away. It's right on campus. And here at Royal Roads, we have been learning and teaching online for over 25 years. And you might be wondering, like, why explore Royal Roads? Hopefully you've heard of us before, and if not, that's okay. We'll go into details about who we are and what we're all about. But what's really important to us is getting to know you. So we get to know you very, very fast. You're more than a student number for us at Royal Roads. We get to know your first name really quickly and learning based on life. So there's not that division between theory and practice. It's all integrated. So what you learn in the program, you can pretty much apply the very next day, which is really cool. And connections for life. We have a cohort model. So you'll be learning with a group of people that you'll get to know, and you'll keep them as connections for life. They'll be part of your professional network. And that's really neat to have. And we were just built differently from day one. And we'll be talking more about that. Geo will go into more details about the program and how we're just a little bit different here at Royal Roads, but different in a good way. So now I'm going to welcome Dr. Geo Takach. Welcome, and he'll be talking about the program structure.
Thanks very much, Mara, and a big shout out from Coquitlam and Lekwungen territory, where it's a big surprise raining today. I am no stranger to the sunshine of Calgary. I'm an Albertan myself. I did my last degree in Calgary, and I consider myself a rare bird, an Edmontonian who really likes Calgary, which doesn't make me the most popular guy in Edmonton, but it is a fact. And on the subject of appreciation, I want to give a shout out to Mr. Tyler Nagel, whom is one of the great partial exports as far as Royal Roads is concerned from SAIT. He is one of our associate faculty as well. He manages to squeeze us in between his full-time teaching responsibilities at SAIT. And I'm delighted to say that our BAPC program just recently awarded him an award for outstanding teaching for us. So he's actually outstanding in 2 provinces. He may be sitting from time to time, but we also consider him outstanding over here. And now a few words about the program structure of the BAPC. As Amara said, we do things a little differently here. It's a smaller university, so just speaking as a faculty member and a program head, and I think I can say this on behalf of students as well, it's a chance to make an impact. It's a chance to get to know people, and you can cut through red tape and impersonal aspects of larger institutions in a smaller university. There are pluses and minuses of being smaller. That's definitely one of the pluses. And Royal Roads is a very practice-oriented university. The legislation that created our university specifically says you need to look after the needs of the people of BC, specifically the economy, but and the workforce. But we interpret that very broadly to include other aspects, for example, of the sustainability model and economy, which is the social welfare and environmental welfare as well. So we take a large holistic view, and the 3 pillars of our BAPC program reflect this. So there's 3 things the BC is about, whether it's the blended or the on-campus model. It's first of all theory. It is a valid university degree. We're one of a handful of research universities designated as places that spend a lot of time contemplating and even more time doing productive research in the community. So we value knowledge, and we value giving you tools and helping you explore and find your own tools to expand your horizons as a professional communicator. So it's that theory piece. We'll call it theory. Theory is just a way of seeing different things. And the more theoretical tools you have in your arsenal or your quiver or your backpack, the better. The second is that practical orientation. I mean, we love theory. I love theory. I teach theory. However, that said, how much sweeter and more beautiful is an idea or a perspective or a worldview than when you can actually apply it to a real life situation to make something better, whether it's yourself, a relationship, an organization, a community, a planet, a country. The planet should have come last for dramatic effect, but you see where I'm going with that. So we have the theory, we have the practice, and finally we have the creative. The notion that this is a place and a program where you can come to explore and develop your fullest creative self in addition to your fullest practical and your fullest intellectual self. So how does this play out in the BA and professional communication program? Well, you can do it in 2 ways. We have what's called the blended model, which is the program for which I am responsible. It's a program of 60 credits spread across a couple of years. And it is designed typically for people who already have full-time work They tend to be early to mid-career professionals who are squeezing in school on top of a job, on top of perhaps family and volunteer and other responsibilities that folks tend to have. The on-campus version is where you, and in the blended model, yeah, we have two-week on-campus intensives in the month of May where you come in, you do a boot camp of 4 courses sandwiched around that intensive residency. So you're online for a bit, you're on campus for the 2 weeks, and then you finish up online. That's why we use the word blended. The on-campus model, you pretty well come to Victoria and you stay here for a year, and it's full metal jacket, 1 year. And the way our, now that said, during the pandemic, that program has of course migrated online as well. The current intake is online. We don't know what's going to happen by the time the fall intake rolls around. We're hoping that we'll be back on campus. That said, my on-campus counterpart, Dr. Chasten Remillard, also a fine, he's not from Calgary, but he went to university there, so he's sort of from Calgary. We represent Calgary well in our school. He will make the decision about whether that's going to be on campus or whether it's going to be offered again online. And at some point we may coordinate BAPC offerings, alternating between blended and on campus, and blended and the on campus may also be fully online. But for now, it's on campus. If that's confusing you, you're not the only one. That's the difference. That's how those two programs basically play out. The content of the two is the same. The 2 year is intensive. The on-campus is really, really intensive. And we have a cohort-based learning model, so you don't come in with a lot of options. You get your 60 credits like a fixed menu at a higher end restaurant where you walk in and here is your menu. And the strength of that, it's part of our learning, research, and learning, teaching, and research model, which I commend for your reading pleasure. We'll touch on it in a little bit later. But the notion that we believe that people have the deepest, most life-changing experiences when they learn together as a group. So the whole group goes through the program together. I'm just wrapping up a sustainability communication course with a cohort that I worked with in their first class 2 years ago, and they're getting all weepy on me because their 2 years. Hell, I'm getting weepy on them because their 2 years together are coming to a close. Cohorts tend to form very close relationships that will see them through their those dark winter nights working in front of a terminal through your courses, but also become part of your professional network when once you graduate for life, we hope. I think I'm ready for my, if not my next close-up, which I will never be ready for, certainly the next slide. So I'm going to just run you through. We've got 4 classifications here, 4 kinds of courses. We've got foundations course, and it's all put together in Chase and I like to think a cleverly concocted narrative structure whereby the learning in each course builds on itself and its group of courses into the next section. So we've got foundations where you learn the basics. This is among the first round of courses that you take on which subsequent content builds. So you learn about theory, you learn about what a professional writer does and how it's done. You learn some fundamentals of visual communication, very important. You'll learn what research methods look like in professional communication. And in the foundations course, you'll learn to develop your professional identity as a communicator. In our next group of courses, we'll look at some context, different kinds of specific studies of specific kinds of contexts in which your communication takes place. I'll give you a second to digest that. And next.
Would you like me to go to the next slide?
Yes, please.
Okay, beyond the context slide. Okay.
This is where the practical and the creative come in. I'll be more specific and less nuanced next time, Amara. I owe you that, so sorry. We'll be looking at the different platforms through which you communicate. We'll be looking at the history of communication. We actually break it up into two courses. We go all the way up from Cretaceous to digital, and then we have a specific course on advanced digital communication that talks about how that has developed, and also how that is actually enacted. So yes, of course, you look at the theory of social media, for example, but you also look at the practice. Our multimedia storytelling is a residency course. It's one that's taught in the blended program on campus. It's a course where you engage with different sensory approaches to communication, audio and visual, certainly, and more. Couple of other courses, communication planning and stakeholder engagement, and public persuasion, which is a course in advocacy, essentially, that I developed that helps you make your case through mass media and within your organizations and otherwise as a communicator. And finally, our last of the 4 quadrants or phases, again, is a practical application realm where we talk about communication, applications of communication in different settings, whether it's impersonal, within an organization or beyond it. We have a practicum, that's the professional experience. We're working on modifying, modernizing, and upgrading the course. By the way, every 5 years, it's mandatory. We are required to do a review of our program every 5 years to ensure that we're relevant. But being a keen bunch, we tend sometimes not even to wait that long. For example, the pandemic has introduced new elements to our crisis communication course, and that is requiring revision in advance of the 5 years, because there are new studies, new circumstances, new tools that we'd like you to become familiar with to negotiate pandemics and endemics, for example, as well as our ongoing environmental and social crises, which we will not bog down the discussion with here. And it culminates in a capstone course, which is a portfolio course. That is your bridge between your learning at Royal Roads and where you take this next chapter of your career as a professional communicator. So Amara, that's a look at the structure and the content of our BC courses. And here, just at a quick glance for you, is a smattering of some of the different kinds of courses, career choices that are open to communicators, understanding, of course, that in our parents' day, you might go to a job and stay there and get a gold watch or something after 50 years. I hear tell in the science fiction books that's what used to happen. With the price of gold nowadays, frankly, I tend to doubt it. But nowadays, it's well accepted, even for the last few decades, that you're going to have not only more than one job change in your professional career, but possibly several career changes. I myself have had that privilege, but it's understood that your BAPC degree will help you in whatever career you choose. I once floated the idea in a class that really, who doesn't need to communicate in their job? Maybe a lighthouse keeper. And then I was quickly corrected that lighthouse keepers need to communicate as well. In fact, that's the essence of their job. They just may be lonely a lot of the time. Okay, that's I think my bit, Amara. Back to you.
Thank you, Geo. You always make me laugh. A lighthouse keeper. I like that. I think they really do have to learn all the different lights to use to make sure boats know about different things. So yeah, definitely they need to communicate. So now that we're kind of know a bit more about the program, I'm jumping into how to apply. So I'll go through this, and yeah, if any questions are coming up, just pop them in the chat. Geo has eyes in the chat, so does Mark. So if anything comes up, and we can always address them as well at the end of the session. So we have a pathway agreement set up. So what that means is students can transfer into BAPC after successful completion. And you know what? I'm realizing I have the wrong slide deck here, because this is for Algonquin. We had an info session earlier last week, so my apologies on that. Successful communication, you really need to update slide decks to make sure that they're specific to the audience. So Mark, I'm just going to put you on the spot here, and just, if you don't mind unmuting and just kind of talking a little bit about the pathways between SAIT and Royal Roads University. And once again, my apologies on the wrong slide.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so I mean, it's very similar to Algonquin. We have a few programs in SAIT, journalism being one of them, and I don't know if the other ones off the top of my head, but I think there's about 4 or 5 programs that we have a pathway from SAIT to Royal Roads University. You need to get a minimum GPA of a 3.0 to come through that pathway. We do offer a full 60 credit. So you're transferring, you get your diploma, you get your 60 credits, and you're transferring those 60 credits into the BAPC program. So you're starting into that year 3. And the pathway is for either offering either the on-campus or the blended offering. So whatever, sort of fits your lifestyle and your choice. So, but yeah, the pathway is very simple. And I'm sure the mayor is probably going to talk on this later, but I'm gonna spoil your fun. So the process is you just do an online application, and then we need your transcript from SAIT, and it's going to be an official transcript that comes directly from SAIT to Royal Roads University, and that's all you need to do to come through that pathway. So very simple to do. And there, Tyler's putting the information in the chat. Thank you very much, Tyler. And I put my email address in the chat as well. So if you want to copy and paste that, please feel free to contact me about the pathway to Royal Roads University. I'm happy to answer any questions you have if you don't put them in the chat while we're talking today. So back to you, Amira.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks so much for jumping in and talking about that. And we have this information on our website as well too. And Mark is the best resource to reach out to, and he can really help you navigate if you're looking to transfer into Royal Roads. So I'd love to kind of point out, let me see here, just the how to apply here. So, whoops. As you can see, as Mark said, he did read my fun. He said he was going to. He kind of went over the how to apply. So you're all kind of set up on that. We do require an official transcript and an online application. And the next date. So what we do have is for the blended, March 27th, 2023. That's the start date. So the application deadline is December 27th, 2022. And that's for the blended, which is a mix of online and on-campus residencies. But if you're looking to come for the on-campus, the start date is September 12th, 2022. And the application deadline is June 12th, 2022. And you don't have to wait till the application deadline to apply, but those are the deadlines. And we always make sure that information is completely up to date on our website. So if, for example, deadline kind of gets moved so you have a bit more time, that will be reflected on our website, as well as future intakes. So check out our website. The information is always there. And I wanted to mention financial aid. If you're kind of looking at Royal Roads University and you're wondering what kind of financial aid we have a look now while you're starting your application. We have great financial aid and award specialists who can help you kind of navigate what is available for you specifically. So check out the website there. You can set up an appointment with them, and it's not too early to start talking to them about that. And we do have a variety of awards and scholarships and other funding available. And as Mark mentioned, reach out to us if you have any questions. Mark popped his email in the chat. We also have really knowledgeable enrollment advisors who can help you navigate and answer any questions about eligibility or what the program is like, or if it's the right fit for you. So you can reach out to learn.more@royalroads.ca if you're a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident, or learn.more.international@royalroads.ca if you're an international citizen or a temporary resident. So I think that brings us to the end of today's session. And I wanted to stop sharing my screen here and see if anybody had any questions. You're welcome to unmute, or you can pop the question in the chat, or you can reach out to us later too, whatever works. Do you have anything else that you'd like to share, Geo or Mark or Tyler, like about kind of your experience with the program, or anything you feel like people in the room or listening to the recording later should know?
Well, if I was watching this recording, or even better, present in this room, and thank you for coming. Oh, good. I'll answer that question, Angelique, in just a second. The question I would lob to you, Amara, is, well, you know, there's so many options out there. There's so many wonderful looking options. Like, why Royal Roads? Why this place with a castle as its mascot? Actually, our real mascot is Cedric the Peacock, but because we have peacocks late in the day on the grounds. But that's a whole other story. I will ask you that question right after I answer the question in the chat box. If that's okay, I'll throw that to you. Advanced digital communication, also known as COM 330. Well, there's somebody here who could speak to that, and I prefer the sound of his voice to mine, so I may respectfully throw to Mr. Nagel on that one. Tyler, if you want to say a few sentences about that.
Thanks, Geo. Yeah, I have taught that class in the past. I'll be happy to talk as much as you want about that class. We can do it for 11 weeks if you want, but I'll hold it to a minute or two here. Albeit with fewer puns than Geo does. That being said, advanced digital communication is all about the practice of social media and online communication in contemporary communication practice. And so it looks at it from both a strategic level and a tactical or a practice level. The strategic level involves auditing an organization's social media, as well as forming strategy for the future. So looking at what the posting practices will be going into the future. It also involves the creation of social media content. So creating a good post for Twitter, for Instagram, for Facebook. We're delving into newer platforms as well, like TikTok and other video-based platforms. And so you're getting a nice blend of practical skills you can use now, and then more timeless skills of creating strategy and understanding how that communication happens. It's underpinned by a theory course. Is it COM 329, Geo? I'm a little weak in that, and it partners really nicely with building on the theoretical constructs of what makes communication happen, and then takes those theories and applies them in real life stuff.
Thank you. That was a great answer.
So Amara, like, why Royal Roads, Amara?
Yeah, why Royal Roads? It would take me 11 weeks as well to answer that question, but I'll try and do it in a minute or two. So obviously I work at Royal Roads, but I'm actually a student as well. I just graduated from the Grad Cert in Professional Communication Management, which is really closely related to the BAPC program. So I just graduated in December, and it was fantastic. Like, I've been working for a while. I have an undergraduate degree, but the people that I got to meet through that program and the instructors, like, it was beyond kind of what I had done in my undergraduate. It was so applied, like things that I was learning in the program. I was literally then going to my manager the next day being like, hey, can we do this? Like, does that work? Like, and just trying to implement it. And I learned so much. And the people that were in my program, like, that was what was really valuable too, is the actual cohort, the people you get to meet, like, they were from all over Canada and parts of the world as well. And they were just in so many different industries. It wasn't just like everybody was in marketing or everybody was in journalism, but we did have some like radio hosts. We had people who, I think one person worked for CBC, like we had people who worked for the government, some people were in crisis communication, like it was so many different backgrounds, but then we were all able to kind of learn from each other as well as learn from the program. So why Royal Roads? Just that, it was just, I felt supported the whole way. Like I really did. Like I felt like very supported, and I felt like I was challenged, and I learned a lot. So I don't know if that answers the question fully. I feel like I need another 10 weeks, but honestly, if you're considering doing an undergraduate program and you would like to get a degree, I would really recommend using that and transferring in, because the possibilities are endless with what you can do with communication. Like you could be a lighthouse keeper, you could go into, you know, digital marketing, you could do whatever, like whatever you want to do. Everybody needs people who can communicate. How big are the cohorts as well? That's a good question. Geo, over to you about kind of like the size of the cohorts for the BAPC program.
I can answer that, Amarin. Thanks very much for that that beautiful answer. More eloquent than certainly I could share, and I appreciate your firsthand connection. Also want to give a shout out to Mark. In addition to his current portfolio, this is what a small university does. Mark has also worked with our school directly in the school. He used to be my next door neighbor, in fact. So whenever we get together, even in a little webinar like this, it's like old home week. Now, how big are the cohorts? It varies wildly over the years. I'm in my 7th year now. And so the range that I have seen in that time in the on-campus cohort, typically you will get somewhere in the low to mid 30s. The range is maybe mid to upper 20s to mid 30s for the on-campus. For the blended, it's maybe 25 at the low end. And it's last year we hit the high of 42. That's an exceptional high year, perhaps partly attributable to the pandemic. What is a typical class size in the BAPC, and I've taught both on campus and online, is somewhere in the, I think in the low to mid 20s. That would be fairly typical. And I see one of our distinguished instructors nodding that jives with his experiences as well. And here's the beauty of that. I taught at 4 larger institutions in Alberta before coming out here. And I always I set myself a goal of by the 3rd class, even with, you know, you get up around 40, 50, I'll at least know the names of most people. And at Royal Roads, I'm not even through the 1st class and I'll probably know all of your names. We have that kind of relationship. And I just want to give a shout out again, the research, learning, teaching, and research model. If you want to know really what the university is about and what we feel distinguishes ourselves, there's a short form and a long form. I'm quite keen on it because not only do I believe in it and it brought me here, but I had a hand, shall we say, in drafting the latest iterations of it. And it's really the DNA and the values. And I'm quite taken by the tagline, which is life changing, even if I don't quite know what the dot means. But what our goal is really to provide you with an experience that will change your life and allow you in a positive way, we hope, to get some tools and some learning to help you on the road to changing the lives of others for the better as well. That's really what we're all about.
Thank you. Oh, go ahead, Mark.
Well, I was just going to add to what Geo was talking about, the class sizes too, is we at Royal Roads, we do have a cap on our class sizes too. So if they, you know, if we had the good fortune of having 100 students apply to our program, we wouldn't just fill our classrooms for 100 students. We cap them. Usually the on-campus are capped a little bit lower than the blended, but we do have a maximum. We don't want to exceed that because, as Geo said, we want to have students have that personal experience. We want you to get to know your professor, and they want to get to know you, and you want to get to know everybody in their cohort. So we're very, very tight on that cap when on our programs.
Thank you for adding that. So I'm keeping an eye on the chat, and I don't see any more questions coming in. So I just wanted to offer the opportunity to say any final words of advice, any motivational quotes from anybody in the room, or anything that you'd like to just kind of leave with the people in the room or watching the recording to think about. Thank you, Angelique. I see your comment there. I'm so glad you were able to join us. Okay. Well, with that, I know that it's almost dinner time there in the mountains. I will be in Calgary next week, actually, so I will be in mountain time. So thank you so much, everyone, for the opportunity to come and speak to you. If you have any questions whatsoever, we're just an email away, and Tyler has all of our contact information. So thank you so much, and I wish everyone a wonderful rest of their evening. Take care.